Hi, everyone. Welcome to episode 1 of Habitual. For those who don't know me, I am the host, Haley, and I'm so excited to be doing this and to be here and recording this first episode. I've really gone on quite the journey with creating this podcast and done all of the behind the scenes stuff for it. It's taken me about 4 or 5 months. So to be here and to finally record is really exciting. I want to start out the episode by first kind of going over my goals and intentions for what this podcast is going to be. And then after that, I'm going to talk a little bit about my background and why I even wanted to do this and what led me to be here and sitting in front of this camera and watching myself record a podcast. So first, habitual. Why? Um, a few reasons. I think it goes back to one of my core beliefs, which is how you spend your days or how you spend your life. And I've watched my life pretty much do like a 180 transformation because of the habits that I've built. Um, and I'll get into that later. But another reason is I can talk like it's a habit. I've gotten in trouble for talking my entire life. I feel like I can pretty confidently fill any silence in any given room at any given time, usually. So this is kind of a fun and creative way for me to just do that. And really just see where it goes and see where my thoughts take me. Um, but to get into where what has brought me here to this moment, and really the biggest kind of story and foundation behind my reasoning for wanting to make this podcast really goes back to funny enough, it can really all be owed to anxiety, which seems so crazy to say, but it's true. I have struggled with anxiety for almost my entire life. I don't think that I knew what that was. Like, I didn't have a title for it or a name for it until probably around high school. But the more I learned about it and the more I realized what was happening and what was going on, I kind of was like, oh, I think I've like kind of always felt like this, in some way or another. And I think the biggest thing for me when I was younger was really just that I was always in my own head and I was overthinking constantly and just having a hard time being present, because I was always thinking about how I was being perceived, thinking just I just lived in my head a lot of the time, and then because I was living in my head and I was so scared and so anxious all the time, I was also incredibly scared and incredibly anxious that people would know that I was feeling that way. So then that became like a whole other layer of trying to make sure that I was presenting like I wasn't always kind of freaked out, for lack of a better term. And that was just like mainly in middle school and like kind of into high school. And then high school, I smoked weed for the first time. And what a world that opened me up to. Because for the first time in my life, I wasn't up here. I wasn't in my head. I was away from that and like completely separate from it. And looking back, obviously, it was escapism. And not actually dealing with the feelings at present. Sorry. My my gosh. I just had to break up a cat fight. My cats were yowling and howling at each other. Gosh, okay. So anyways, yeah, I discovered the lovely escapism that smoking weed gave me. And as any 15-year-old without a prefrontal cortex, I decided this is the best thing ever, and I'm going to do this all the time and as much as I possibly can so that I don't have to feel that way anymore. And as I got older, it also became, oh, I'm angry, I'm going to smoke, or oh, I'm frustrated, or oh, I'm anxious again. And it just was a really unhealthy cycle that was rooted in escapism. And basically, I was coping with it in a way that is not healthy at all and is just suppressing emotions. That's literally what it was doing. It was just suppressing my emotions constantly and over and over and over again. So I was never actually processing them or ever actually feeling them. And I was just numbing them for a really long time. And it all came out. I started having panic attacks in college. Those sucked, but they were few and far between. And then around right after college, right after I graduated and I moved home, I started having panic attacks pretty much every single day and every single time that I was smoking weed. And it was horrible, and it was one of many things that was going on in my life. I also was in the middle of a massive life transition, going from college to living back at home with your parents and your family, and having to try and find an entry-level job, but every entry-level job needs experience, which I didn't have. It was a lot. There's so many factors, but the biggest thing is that every single day I was riddled with anxiety to like the worst that I'd ever experienced ever in my life. I would wake up, I would be anxious. I would be anxious all day. I would be shaking. I would be nauseous. I was driving myself to the beach pretty much every single night to like sit in cold air and be in nature and try and ground myself because I was freaking out as to like why this was happening to me every day, all the time. Um, and it was just to not get into too many details. It was the darkest period of my life ever that I've ever had. Um, yeah, mentally. Like I've never really experienced like that low of a low before. And it was really scary. And I feel like it was it was the moment in my life where it was very there's very two it's very visible to me that there were two ways forward. Like the path split right in front of me. And I could either continue on doing what I was doing and trying the coping mechanisms that I'd been using up until that point, which obviously weren't helping and genuinely at that point did become a form of self-harm. Um, and or two, change like every fucking thing about my life or just basically go into the unknown and be like, okay, I'm gonna like I'm gonna slowly take away all the things that are not making me feel good. And then I'm gonna try and add back up things that do make me feel good. And amazingly, I had the opportunity to move in with my best friend around this time, which was a godsend, like truly could not have happened at a better time for me. And having my own space again was really, really important. And really helped me lean into this next season of my life, which I also quit my job when I got this housing situation. I don't know why that, there's a whole story behind that, but don't do that. That wasn't very smart. I was unemployed for all of summer for like 4 months. Yeah, for like 4 months. And all I did every day for like 4 months was sit in the sun and journal about things that make me happy, things that don't make me happy, things that I do that I don't know why I do, things that I do that I don't like. Um, and like what makes me, what gives me joy, what is my purpose, what, all of the things. Basically, like I feel like you've probably heard it 1,000 times, but it really felt like I was going through this like dark night of the soul and like initiation by fire, where it was everything around me just like burned to the ground. I didn't have anything. I didn't have a job. I could like barely even drive places because I didn't have money for gas. I was on food stamps. Like that's how I was able to feed myself. And all of the money that I was had from odd jobs was just going to rent. That was it. So quite literally had nothing except in having materialistically nothing. I realized, it sounds so cheesy, that I had everything, that I had myself and that I had love around me and for me and from me. And that was all that I really needed in tandem with access to nature. And it was a journey. It was a season of my life for sure. But I learned so much about myself. And it really, oh, and also, like, not to mention, I was very anxious this entire time too. Like, the anxiety didn't just go away because I didn't have a job and I was living with my best friend. The anxiety was very much still there. And this was also me trying 1,000 different ways. I was like, okay, what if I do this diet? Okay, what if I tried running again because I hadn't ran in like years. I was like working out. I was journaling all the time. I was like, what if I just over process every single thing that I'm feeling? I stopped smoking weed entirely. Um, just like stopped that. Because it really was, like I mentioned before, like self-harm. It was not good for me and my brain. And then I was struggling with sleeping and it was, oh my God, it was a mess. I was a mess. It was so much, but I had this time to just really focus on nothing else. And which is both good and bad, right? Like it was too much attention to things can be a little, but anyways, I came out of it with, I got a job and 100 other things started happening in my life. Um, and I just feel like it really sent me on this journey of, I didn't want to spend every day feeling that way. I didn't want to spend every day feeling anxious. I didn't even want to spend like a Sunday morning hungover anxious because I would get so anxious from drinking alcohol. Like my hangovers would just be straight anxiety and I would have anxiety attacks. And I just had to do the hard things and just change everything about my lifestyle. Basically, everything that I had known before, I had to change, which is so much easier said than done because it was fucking hard and it took me a long time. And it's not like I just stopped doing all these things that were bad for me because they were bad for me. Like, no, I tried. It was a process. Like I had to slowly stopped doing them. I would do them again later, thinking that it was going to be fine, and then realized, oh my God, that was actually not fine. And that still really sucks. And I can't do that. And then I would do it again like 2 months later. Like, it's just a constant cycle. And I'm also not claiming to be like fully healed or fully whatever. And if anyone is, they're fucking liars and it's bullshit. So just don't listen to that. FYI. But I feel like I just gained a lot of experience, and it really pushed me into this path of feeling my best and what makes me feel good. And this path of me figuring this out for the past however many years it's been, like, oh my God. Well, I guess it's been almost 4 years now, which is kind of nice. And this is a continuous path. I'm never going to be finished with this. This is just constantly learning and adapting and evolving. Because I'm also going to be changing as a person, and what suits me right now probably isn't going to suit me in 4 years. It might not even suit me in 1 year, but building that resilience and open-mindedness and also having that discipline to keep doing the hard shit fucking pays off. And the reward is so amazing because the reward is living a life that you enjoy. And I personally cannot think of anything else that is worth that. No amount of money or material thing even holds a fucking candle to waking up every day excited that you are alive and that you have another day to live and that you get to do what you do every day and you get to feel good inside of your body and inside of your mind. Because there was a time in life where I did not think that that was ever going to be possible for me, ever. And the fact that I'm here now is amazing and beautiful, and my genuinely gives me this like probably almost obnoxious zest for life. Like, I love being alive. I love being human. I love every little thing that all of that includes. And I just think it's really important to talk about it and to talk about the things that got me here and to talk about the mindset that I have around life and being alive and joy and pleasure, because I think that that is enough. Doing something because it makes you happy and because it gives you pleasure is enough of a reason to do something. And any other fucking person who tells you otherwise, I don't know. I don't know if they want what's best for you. And also that also goes into, there are certain things that don't feel good in the moment, but then feel good later. And that is also a huge lesson to learn and so important. Like, there are so many days where I do not want to work out. And like, I don't want to do that, but I fucking go and I do it anyways. And then afterwards, I'm like, wow, I feel so great. And guess what? I don't have anxiety today. And guess what? I'm able to just fall asleep and I don't have to sit and stare at my ceiling for another hour until I decide that I've had enough. And then I take a melatonin. Like, it's all about doing things in moderation, but also doing things that give you pleasure and living a life that you are proud to live. And I just think that that's the point of life, is to enjoy being alive. Yep. um, and I also want to just mention too, like, I am so grateful for every single negative thing in my life. And even though that period of time was so hard and I genuinely could not, for probably like the only time in my life, I could not see a light at the end of the tunnel, and it was scary as fuck. And it was just so hard. I am so grateful for it because I believe that the universe shows us certain experiences that may be deemed negative in order so that you have some perspective when life gets really good after. And because like right now, like if I had never had that happen to me and I was just living the life that I live right now, it's amazing and I would still like really enjoy it, but I wouldn't have nearly enough appreciation and gratitude for every little thing, because if I hadn't experienced that, because I have something to compare it to. And I also think that that's really important to note and to mention. Um, yeah, I feel like I just talked about so many different things for so long. Um, but to synthesize, I think that the world and that everyone can use more joy and pleasure and optimism and positivity, not toxic positivity. You need to feel your fucking feelings and you need to go through hard shit, and that's just part of life. And so there will be no toxic positivity here, but I my goal with this podcast is to bring more of all of those things to the world and to other people's lives and to my own life, because I enjoy this and I'm having so much fun. Um, and like I said in the beginning, I love talking. Yeah, I just love it. So I'm having the best time talking to you all slash myself right now. But I hope that I'm able to achieve that. And that being said, I really want to do a segment in every episode called Daily Delights, where I talk about my delights of the day or of the week, because I will be releasing new episodes weekly. So maybe I'll just do weeks, but I think Daily Delight sounds better than Weekly Delights. So, and if I did weekly, honestly, the list might be way too long. So I don't know if we want to hear all that. But today, something that delighted me was my morning cortado. I have an espresso machine. Shout out to my boyfriend, Jacob. Um, and I make a cortado, an oat milk cortado for myself every morning in my cute little cup with my delicious espresso. And it makes me so happy every day. Every day. I look forward to it every morning. And every morning it makes me so excited. And I love it so much. And so that was one thing that delighted me. I could honestly say that every day, but I won't. I won't. I'm not going to repeat that every single episode. But just know that it's true. And it's my favorite part of every morning. And then another thing that delighted me today was it was sunny. It's winter in California right now, and it has been beautiful. I had all of the windows open in my house. There's wind, like a nice little breeze, but it was warm. And it was just floating through my house and making my house so warm and feel so clean and open. And I just loved it so much. So I'm so grateful for the weather and grateful for the little break in the frigidness that we've had. We got, I think it was like 70 today. So fuck climate change, but I will take the warmth. Unfortunately. Hate to say it. It does pain me to say, but and okay, one more. Let me think of one more. Another daily delight. Oh, my kitten. Her name is Penelope, Miss Penny. I woke up to her cuddling me. I was like sleeping like this, and had her body right next to my head, and my like cheek was kind of like on her, laying on her. And that's how I woke up, which was really wonderful because who doesn't want to wake up to kitten cuddles? Never met someone like that, but it just made me so happy. Like I actually started my day in such an amazing mood because I was like, I felt so loved. I love her so much. And that, I mean, honestly, I could go on because I love a lot of what happens in my life. And I love a lot about life and about being alive, as I've said 100,000 times. And I'm sure you all have understood. And you're like, I get it. I understand. I get it. Stop saying it. But I'll never stop saying it because I think it's important. And that concludes my daily delights. God, I'm such a perfectionist. I am already thinking of all the ways that I could redo this episode. But we're not letting perfection get in the way of progress here, okay? So this is going to be I'm uploading this and I'm scheduling it, and I'm pointing at myself, can't talk me out of it. I'm going to do it. Just so that just because I'm sure you don't care, I have recorded like 5 different first episodes and I've hated them all. So this is me being like, I'm going to go off the cuff. I know what I want to talk about and I'm just going to talk. And if you can't, if you don't like it, then this just isn't a place for you. And that's okay. But I'm sure that there are some neurodivergent girlies out there that are like, yeah, and I was with her every step of the way. And to you, I say, I'll see you next episode. Who knows what it'll be about, but new episodes will be out every Friday. And oh, I forgot to mention, if you want to share your daily delights with me, I would be so happy and excited to read those. So if you feel inclined to share, I would love to hear, either in the comments or you can DM me on Instagram. I really don't care when it is or who you are or what it even is that you want to say. I am just happy to be here and happy to hear about what makes you happy. There's a quote this is all reminding me of, and I think it's a quote from the Buddha, but it's like, I'm thinking of Olivia Dean, love's never wasted when it's shared, which is true. But there's one about like happiness. Like you can like light 100 candles from one candle. Oh, I'm going to butcher it. I need to look it up. If you want to know how my brain works, and this is how I Google search like everything. I looked up happiness quote Buddha candle. Oh, okay. Thousands of candles can be lighted from a single candle, and the life of the candle will not be shortened. Happiness never decreases by being shared. Mic drop. No, I'm kidding. You wouldn't be able to hear me, but mic drop. Wow, this really got way more chaotic towards the end. I needed. Okay. That's all that I have for you for the first episode. I hope you enjoyed my, what is it called? My external processing, listening to my inner monologue. externally. And in case you haven't heard it today, I love you. Mwah! And I will see you next week on Friday.